Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. Trump won on the Mexico tariff side already. Trump halts tariffs on Mexico as it rushes troops to the border. So this is breaking today. Donald Trump, of course, over the weekend announced there would be tariffs. China, Canada, Mexico, 25%. I'm all for it. Now, the smarter people in the room pointed out Trump is just doing the big ask. He knows that he cannot maintain a trade war for too long. But there are a lot of positives in the long term if we bring jobs back to the United States. Trump's first priority, of course, is securing the southern border. American jobs for American workers, no more benefits to illegal immigrants, no more fake refugees, no more drug trafficking, child trafficking, etc. So the Mexican president gets on the phone with Donald Trump and agrees to rush 10,000 National Guard troops to the border to strengthen efforts to block the flow of drugs, especially fentanyl, coming into the United States. And thus, Donald Trump wins. Because it's a win-win. You know, you got the long-term play and the short-term play, and Trump nailed it. So we got our good friend, liberal Krasenstein, saying, okay, well, it's not a bad deal, but it's not going to do much. Oh, cry more. Y'all were screaming. These Democrats were screaming, saying, he's sabotaging the economy. You're going to have to pay more for avocados. And then, of course, here we are. Trump won. Here was the short-term play. Forcing Mexico to agree to terms to secure our border along with us. It's their border, too. Long-term play is fine. Then we're going to have to bring our manufacturing and everything back to the United States. It's going to negatively impact workers in Mexico. Either way, we win. And here we are. The Washington Post has the story, my friends. Before we get started, you must become a member at Timcast.com. If you like the work that we do and you want to see it continue, check out our Green Room show, behind the scenes with our guests, as well as our uncensored members-only call-in show, and more to come. We're going to be launching some new documentaries this year, a lot of great work, and it's all possible thanks to you. If you guys want to see us expand and do more work, then we need your help as a member at Timcast.com. Here's a story from the Washington Post. The Trump admin has agreed to pause sweeping tariffs on Mexico for a month, while the two sides hammer out an agreement on security and trade. President Claudia Sheinbaum announced Monday. Saying on X, in a good conversation with Trump, Mexico agreed to rush 10,000 National Guard troops to the border to strengthen efforts to block the flow of drugs, especially fentanyl, coming into the United States. The United States pledged to work to avoid the trafficking of weapons to Mexico, she said. Sheinbaum spoke 2 days after Trump slapped a 25% tariff on goods from Mexico and Canada, saying they have failed to stop the movement of illegal fentanyl and migrants over the U.S. border. The tariffs were set to go into effect Tuesday. The White House alleges that drug trafficking organizations have an intolerable alliance with the Mexican government. Over the weekend, it accused Mexican authorities of granting safe havens to the crime groups. Sheinbaum has angrily rejected such claims. The U.S. and Mexico are each other's biggest trading partners, and Mexico is particularly dependent on income from cross-border commerce. More than 80% of its exports go to the U.S. If the tariffs persist for months, economists say Mexico is almost certain to suffer a recession. You know what, my friends? I love this. I tweeted you know what? Let me just pull up the tweet. Let me pull up the tweet for you, because then we'll talk about Israel, everyone's favorite subject. Here we go. Let me see if I can get that. Here we are. We got it. We're pulling it up. I said the extraction of the U.S. economy is over. If a country can't survive without U.S. subsidy or support, then they shouldn't. This goes for any and every country. Take a look at that. 2 million views. Very big. A lot of views. A lot of people agree. We all agree. Absolutely. The idea that Mexico and Canada can only exist because the majority of their exports are being sold to us, but our jobs are going to them, I do not agree. Hard work and culture are tied completely. And when we say we're going to give the manufacturing jobs to Canada and Mexico, what we're saying is over a long enough period of time, there will be no American worker to buy anything. It's a bad deal in the long term for everybody. So why do it? Well, of course, there are reasons. You know, we get avocados largely from Mexico, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so there's products that grow down there that we like to get, and that's fine. We can trade, and that's good because we like avocados, okay? And if we can't, there's some things that we can't do up here, right? We don't have the same amount of, it's not, we do have avocados. I'm not saying we don't. But we have bigger supply if we do trade with different regions where different things are grown. I mean, we have coffee in Hawaii, but there's other kinds of coffee that are good, right? So trade is good. Trade is good, but not at the expense of the U.S. worker. Now, I want to just stress the response from the Libertarian Party. Israel too, right? And I'm just like, you people are morons. These people, you're like, I'm sorry. I hope you all get angry when I say this. All of the Israel derangement syndrome people, guys, Israel is included in the phrase any and every country. But these people are so psychotically obsessed with Israel that when like I or Matt Walsh say the exact same thing, and Clint Russell and Josie the Redhead Libertarian, all of us in unison scream out, if you cannot survive without U.S. subsidy, you should not. They go, what about Israel? And you're like, what did I just say? What world do you live in where this consistent opinion all of us have had the whole time? And then it's weird because these people are nuts. Like, yeah, Tim, but you said you support Israel. I'm like, what? Like, as if being like a country exists and they can do what they want has anything to do with what we do as our country. I also support Sudan. Congratulations, Sudan, you're a country. How about let's go for what's a good country we can pick? I'm trying to think of a good one. Uruguay. Uruguay, we call it in America. Uruguay. I support Uruguay's right to exist as a country. Like, they exist. They have borders. Bye. I don't know, whatever. It has nothing to do with me. But these people are nuts. Anyway, I digress. Well, all of these liberals were screaming that Trump's tariffs were bad and it was going to make everything. And here we are. Tariffs are on pause. And Mexico is now picking up the slack to help secure our border. Take a look at this tweet from our good friend, Brian Krasenstein. He says, breaking, Trump will hold off on Mexican tariffs as Mexico places 10,000 National Guard on border. Facts. Mexico already has 15,000 members along its northern border. 90% of fentanyl seizures occur at U.S. ports of entry, not from people crossing the border illegally. The vast majority is smuggled in by Americans concealed in vehicles and often evading detection by U.S. Border Patrol. U.S. citizens have comprised 86% of fentanyl trafficking convictions. While this is not a bad deal, it will do very little to stop drug smuggling, in my opinion. Heavens me. My dude, I need to explain to you statistics, all right? He says 90% of fentanyl seizures occur at U.S. ports of entry. Could it be that there aren't enough National Guard to stop the rest of it? Let's try this again. Let's say you have two doors, and there is door 1 and door 2. And door 2, the official port of entry, has 50 cops standing right there. And door 1 is wide open. And then we go, isn't it weird that 100% of all of the law enforcement is happening at the only place with law enforcement? And you'd be like, well, no, there's no guards at the other door. So people are just walking through. My dude, I believe it is probably correct when you say that most of the fentanyl coming in is coming through the border by American citizens. I agree. But that is not to say that there's not others to stop. And Trump is making Mexico pay for it. You see how that works? So now they're going to have 25,000 troops on their border. That's Mexico paying for it. I love it. It's not a bad deal. That's right. So Canada is going to have to play ball next. And Trudeau is going to talk like this, like he's got something jammed in his... I'm not going to go there. But why does he talk like that? Calm down, guy. Canada is going to face a recession because they want to play hardball. Dude, when I was a kid, when I was younger, it was like 1 to 4. Like $1 was 4 Canadian. My Canadian friends were like, it was always great when Americans came to visit because they'd be spending money like crazy. They would tip like $10, but that's like 40 Canadian. So it was easier for them to pay rent. Canadians told me life was better when the economy wasn't as good. No joke. Now, there's a lot to consider there. What they were basically saying is that food costs were a little bit higher, but Canada grows food. And rent is comparable to your amount of income. So if an American came in and spent $100 or gave a $100 tip, and that was 400 Canadian, that's like 2 Americans paying their rent for the month. Now that the economy stabilized, doesn't really mean anything. Now it's like there's no big benefit. Not everybody felt that way. I totally understand. But service sector employees were telling me that. These days, economies are comparable. But following these tariffs, that ain't going to be the case for long. Unless Trudeau wants to come to the negotiating table and give Trump what he wants. Bravo, Mr. President. Talk about bold governing. Is this what it's like to have a real leader? It's kind of crazy, right? I'm going to wrap it up there, my friend. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone. You know, we got more clips, more segments coming up. Next will be at 4 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.